my first time doing this, and I don't know. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Hello, everybody. Thank you, and welcome to Author Chat, where we talk about all things authory, authorish, authorized, authorated, authorism. We don't do authorism up in here. We all authors. Authors. We don't hate. We don't want no authorism. Okay. Okay, so today we have authors. That's why I was asking you guys if how you wanted me to say, because I don't know if you wanted me to be like still put it out there that you are one author.
No, we've always been open that we would speak.
Well, didn't know. Yes, I can't say what we didn't know because I can't talk about that because it's a secret. But anyway, yes. Okay, so we are now introducing authors G.L. Tomas to Author Chat. They were so nice to come on and sit with me. I'm so happy. So I am going to try and pronounce their names correctly because I thought Guinevere was pronounced differently because Irene in Spanish is Irene, so I thought it was Guinevere, but we're going with Guinevere.
So our mom pronounces it like Guinevere.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, but you were like just Guinevere, and I'm like, okay, we'll do it. And then Libertad, and I was like, oh, so I'm running around my room like Libertad, because that part in the Scarface. Anyway, and then I was like, don't mention that because then that will probably make her freak out. And then I was like, we're totally gonna do it.
You're not the first. You're not the first.
I'm not the first. Okay. So did anybody ever just call you Gwen and Libby?
Yeah.
And then you're just like, no.
You know what? Like, I actually don't mind when people call me Libby because I hate for people to mispronounce my name.
Why? I would tell you my real name on the show, but I have to stick with my author name. But it really pisses me off when people get my author name wrong too. But that's okay. But yeah, I could see that. It makes you heated underneath the collar.
Yeah.
Right.
And Gwen, she gets it just as often as I do. People call her Geneva. Everything like Guinevere.
I don't know. I don't understand. It's like it's right there on the page. How have you made it 28, 32, 45, 68 years and you've never heard the name of Guinevere or read it before? I mean, like that.
I wish I could tell you. I'm 30. I'm about to be 36 next week, and I still don't get it.
Still don't get it. Well, happy pre-birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, that sucks. With my real name, I mean, I'm just like, there's a whole like mega superstar out there with my name.
Let me find out it's Beyonce.
No, she's passed away. This one, she's been gone for a while. But I'm just saying, like, come on now, it's not that difficult, and it's like 5-6 letters. I don't get it. So, I mean, if you're able to, if you're good with riddles.
Okay. Now I'm about to Google dead stars.
Dead stars with 6-letter names. Go, yeah.
We love everything you're amazing. You're pretty dope. Like, so it's like we just wanted a chance to like get to know you better.
I'm so happy. Thank you so much. I haven't been called dope in a while, and
that's pop your dope virginity.
Oh no, that's long been popped. But we can definitely use a rejuvenation.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Anybody under 18 listening, like seriously, just turn it down.
Let me back out. Back out real slow.
Exactly. Okay. All right. So let's be serious for a minute. All right. So I'm going to click over. If you hear a series of clicks, it's just me on my computer trying to figure things out. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the book that I read. I am currently reading another book by you all that I received 2 days ago, but we can't really talk about that. But I did read a book called Meant for You by the Kinky Matchmaker series, indicating there are more of these books. Okay. Yes. And so we read the story about Ellie and Benny, or Bendición. I mean, it depends on how you want to say it. Do you all like Castellan, or do you do like just regular American standard, what they teach you in school is just, I guess, standard Puerto Rican Spanish? I don't know. I did have a teacher once tell me the word mop was el mapo, and I was just like, nope, I'm not going to believe that. Not going to believe it. I will not believe it today.
Me and my sister are Cuban, so we kind of make up our own words.
Yeah. I think that's what she did. And I was just like, this is not what it says in the book, Miss So-and-so. But okay, so you're Cuban. I told you about my 11-year ex is Dominican. So
girl, your mental health must be in the trash.
I mean, he was beautiful and he's not a bad guy. Didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing wrong. It just was, I was older and we rocked it for 11 years. And we probably just shouldn't have done it. But there were many nights where I would be, because he would like to hang with his brothers. He'd like, babe, I'm gonna get you a cab. He would like, just drop her off next to El Building. And I'm like, nope, that's not right. There's no El Building no. So edificio, please. So yes, I don't like to speak Spanish because I get things wrong when I speak. And I spent like 4 years in the Bronx with my boyfriend going places. And every time I would try and, like speak and order something, the women would look at me and be like, "Okay," and I'd be like, "Okay, never mind." So self-esteem in the gutter.
I mean, can I like to say something to that though?
Sure.
I definitely think, especially because we're like Black Latinos, when you're a Black person and you speak Spanish, they typically won't want to speak Spanish back to you. I don't know why that is.
Definitely experienced that a lot.
They will speak in broken English just to not struggle, just so they don't have to speak Spanish back to you.
Well, I don't understand that because I was just like, this is New York. Everybody in New York on this side of the BX speaks Spanish, and there's so many different colors. But I did experience that. We were having a Super Bowl party, and I'm an introvert. I don't like trouble. I don't like confrontation. And his cousin, sweet girl, she's the opposite. So I needed to return something to the store. And she was like, I'm gonna go with you because we're gonna make this fast. So we go in the store and the man is like speaking in Spanish in front of us to the woman who was checking us out. I can understand what he's saying because I ear hustle real well. Okay. But I'm not going to speak back because I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to get something wrong. And then I'm stupid. And it's all like, Well, my boyfriend's cousin was like, what you not finna do today in Spanish is talk about us in front of us like this. And she definitely said it. And we were leaving. She's like, it's just because we're Black, they think we don't speak Spanish and that we're not. And we do. But that's what we're going to get into in just a minute. Go back to the meant for you. Yes. Okay. So, Ellie and Benny, very sexy. I didn't know how I was going to think about the whole, and I don't want to do any spoilers, but if you come on author chat, it's kind of sort of going to happen, but I didn't know what to think about the whole BDSM thing. But reading it still, like I never really, like sometimes I would read a book where the BDSM would start and some guys' books would start and I would just like close the book altogether. Like, I don't want to deal with that. Like, you're doing the most here. People crawling around on the ground and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, isn't there a more like prettier way to do this without humiliating people or whatever? And I think that you all kind of made that possible with Ellie and Benny because they didn't really do that. If I remember well enough, it was it was more intimate. It wasn't like they were going out to clubs and I've recently read some books like that or whatever. But there was also like a relationship. And I also read in books now that I am reading some of these books where it's like these people are not able to have normal, you know, like a loving relationships, and Ellie and Benny were able to do that. So I really liked that part. It was redeeming, I think, for me, where I was just like, okay, I don't have to close this one because I'm in shock of what's happening. It was actually very, very sexy. The part where he's like, now get on your knees. Because I would have been like, already there. Like, you doing all this talking, like, what's up? We all up in this house. No, there's nothing else to do. Let's go. You know, yeah. So
it's snowed in too.
Exactly. Like, how else we keep it warm? Anyway. So I really liked it. I really liked that you have made the female heroine, Benny, number one, she's smart. She had a goal, and it wasn't like, and she didn't back down. And that's the thing that I really can't stand in books. I will listen or read female heroines, and they have these men or people talking to them all crazy, and they're like, okay. Nah, she didn't do that. Like, with the girlfriend part or whatever her name is, she kept her cool because she has a child and all that kind of thing. But I really do think that if Benny were allowed to let herself free, that she would have really smacked bitches. I don't know. She just didn't seem weak, and weakness is something that I really cannot stand in female heroines. I'm screaming at books like, this is what I would say. We kind of got off topic, which was the topic, but not the topic of the moment. What our topic is writing Black women. What tells your audience she's Black?
Ciao. So I think my sister and I have a really interesting take on Blackness because we're part of the diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
But our parents are from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way we exhibit Blackness is slightly different than people who are like kind of like American descendants of slavery.
American Blackness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no wrong or right way because it's like, you know, Black people are not really a monolith. But so like we try to make sure, even like though some of our, like I would say like most of our characters have Spanish names or like ethnic names, we still try to make sure we get across that all our heroines are Black, whether they're like you know, Equatorial Guinean, what was Bendición was, she was her parents were from Equatorial Guinea. You know, like another heroine we have, like the next character that we have in the Kinky Matchmaker series is actually Haitian. And you know, we have another heroine who's Dominican. So it's like, I mean, like we try to like show Blackness in different ways so that like, you know, like Black women can see that like even though we come from different places, like there's always this one thing that connects us.
Thank you. Okay, can I say something to that though? It's kind of off, but not. So I learned a long time ago, Blackness is like the one thing that connects you. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to be mean. I guess it's the Gen Zers. I don't know. But I've been noticing a lot, and it's probably because I went to a very militant Black school. But the one thing that you do when you are out in the world is when you see another Black person, you acknowledge the other Black person, because it is the one thing that you have in common. You all have this experience of being Black, and I've been noticing lately that I do not get acknowledgement back. I will nod, I will say hello, I will wave, and it's kind of just like, I don't know you. And I'm like, that's interesting. As much as news travels and how fast news travels these days, where we're all supposed to be so connected, when you're out in the world and you don't acknowledge or don't speak, that just says to me like there's a disconnect. That's just what I'm saying. I just put it out there. I'm sorry. I know it's off topic, but you happen to say that this is something that we all share. And I just wanted to say.
I'm a millennial, so I can't relate to a Gen Z anyway. So, I don't know what that's about.
I don't know, but it's the young ones, and I'm just like, come on, hello, how you doing? Head nod, what's up? I mean, I don't know. I think it's more a me culture, and it used to be an us culture, but our culture is different than our parents' culture. You know, my brother is like, you can't just drop by my house. And my parents were like, this is what we do. And I was like, yeah, but that was like 1968. It's different now. You know, so I'm sorry. Anyway, I interrupted. Complete your sentences.
Do you want to go, Gwen, since I spoke?
I'll let you finish your thought.
No, you
go ahead.
You go.
Gosh, you guys sound like so much alike.
So for me, I think that one of the things that I like to show that a character is Black is kind of like giving them interests that, you know, we associate with Black people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We're Black geeks. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, Black geeks didn't exist publicly. Like, you kind of had to like be on a sneak tip with it. So now to see that there's like these spaces for like Black people who like love comics and love video games and love. I know you're laughing at me because you know that was the response.
No, I know somebody.
That was the response I got growing up. But anyway, there's all these spaces, and like a lot of our characters, not Benny, but a lot of our characters do kind of exhibit kind of like the Black geekness, and where like they found their tribe and they found their space to exhibit and express their nerdness, but with Black people. You know, like, and I really feel like things like Black Panther, Attack the Block, which is like Attack the Block is one of my favorite films. Like seeing Black people in speculative fiction, like really, really brought that into the forefront. And obviously, not every character is going to kind of have that, but for me, that's what I always try to make sure I incorporate with, particularly Black geeks. Obviously, not all women are going to be geeks, but yeah.
So I just want to like say this really quick. Another thing that my sister and I try to convey with making our characters known as Black is kind of like the shared experience that Black women have with their hair. That's like kind of universal across the board. Like, I don't know one Black woman from any country that hair isn't like a big deal to her. So it's like, whether it's with like skin tone or hair texture, or like just like the way they interact with their family, that's almost like something that people feel like it's different, but I kid you not, like people of like direct African descent, people from the Caribbean, people from Latin America, people from the United States that are, you know, like African American, like all our families' dynamics are the same. We just have different languages, but other than that, we're all the same.
I like the part where you're talking about the hair, and I really hope this thing is picking up my mic because it looks very low. If it's not, then ladies, we might have to do this again. Okay. But the hair part, I guess I feel three different ways on that. Okay. So there are some books that I read where it's just too much. It's like, we get it. She's Black. Let's move on with the story. We don't need to go into how she creams her hair, how she oils it. all that kind of stuff, because it makes me feel like now we're moving into a territory where we are moving from being just a regular woman who does her hair, just like white women, they brush their hair. I don't think that you're going to read a book with our Caucasian counterparts where they're talking about how many times she brushes her hair, unless it's like something like that's a focus. I just don't think that they go that in depth. So that's one way that I think about some things. And that's, I have read very few books, but there was one that I did read where I was just like, okay, let's get on with it. We get it.
Okay.
Then there are those books where, yeah, okay, it's fine. It's not so much. It's just like, okay, she went, she twisted her hair, just like with Ellie and Benny. It wasn't too much. We get it. It was pretty. She had good hair. Get it. Then there are the books where I'm just like, okay, like I feel like in order for Black women to be pretty, to be feminine in books, with some books that I've read, why does her hair always have to be long and curly? Oh, she put her hair up in a ponytail, or, her curls fell across her chin. That's great. A lot of Black women with long hair that's their own. A lot of that wear weave. I read a book where they were talking about her weave all the time and she had units. Okay, great. Read 2 books like that. But then there's women out there like me. My hair is about, that long because I keep it short, that kind of thing. And I'm just like, when do I get to see myself to where I'm just like, okay, that's cool. And it's not that often. So sometimes when I'm thinking about I'm writing a character right now, she's got short hair. It's not going to be long. She doesn't like to keep it long. And yet she's still sexy, and yet she's still Black and still being able to carry on this relationship. So I guess it's just 3 different dynamics that I think about hair and how we describe Black women, because I know that that's one of those things that, okay, we all share, like you said, but sometimes I don't feel like I fit in with that. And does that...
So my sister and I have a very different journey when it comes to our hair, like it kind of shows up in, like, a little bit of it shows up in each character, like not the whole journey shows up in one person. Like we just went natural like 6 years ago.
That's not just.
Well, look, when you've been natural, like when you've been on a creamy crack for like your entire life, like it feels like, like you just feel like a slave to the creamy crack.
I'm thinking about going back. I've been natural for at least 15 more years now. Yeah.
Okay. See, we didn't have that experience growing up Cuban American. You got you got a relaxer, and that was just it. Because you had bad hair. You get a relaxer because your hair is bad. Your hair is nappy. Your hair, that was just how it was in a Cuban American home.
That's how it was for my mother. She came home with an afro, and her aunt, who was very, very fair skinned, she was like, "That's not my niece. I don't know you."
Oh, we still get that. We still get that. My abuelita, she touches my hair, like, and she's just like, "Is it soft?" Like, she, like, there was like a delivery guy that was delivering something to her. He had locks, mind you, and my hair is not locked. She's like, he has hair like you. My hair is like 4C curly. Nothing like locks at all. Nothing like locks. But she just does not, like, she's not see my type of hair is beautiful.
Right. I saw that a lot in the Bronx. I mean, if you have to get the blowout, and you go to the Dominicans to get the blowout, and that's, I mean, they do a bomb blowout, I'm not gonna lie, and you wrap it in the doobie wrap. But then you have girls who, I started my locks when I was living in the Bronx. I started myself because I had $600 to go out and I could do it. So I mean, I had locks for like 10 years, long, blonde, down to the middle of my back. And then, of course, when the breakup happened, I just took scissors and anyway. So I didn't have that experience. I did have relaxers for a long time. Blowouts were kind of like no reason to do a blowout or a press because I played sports. So it was a relaxer. So you can keep your hair, I guess, quote unquote, good, that kind of thing. So, you know, in America, definitely Black Americans have the same experience, but our experience is going to school with other Caucasian American girls who want to touch your hair to see what it feels like, or you're trying to assimilate. My dad is very big on assimilation, just to feel like you fit in, that kind of thing. So I understand where you're coming from. My grandmother was the same too, and her sisters, of course, were the same with the whole natural hair thing. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, even my mom, like every time I see her, she puts her fist in the air, like I'm like some kind of like social justice warrior or something like that.
Was she saying libertad? Sorry, I had to do it again. I had to do it again. I promise. Last time.
Kind of like to like shift the conversation where you felt like you didn't really necessarily fit in. Into like, you know, you don't see yourself as a heroine. That's something that I feel like my sister and I kind of relate to too, because like we're like more on the darker side.
I don't get it. But go ahead. I have something to say about that too. Go ahead.
Okay, like my sister and I are on the darker side, so we do tend to make like darker skinned heroines, because I can read. I could kind of like count on my hands how many darker skinned heroines I read.
But I could read like 16, 11 light skin, light eyed.
That's what I'm saying. I'm reading a book now. Her hazel eyes, and I was just like, "That's beautiful, lovely," but it's a handful of us, and I don't see myself here. And I don't want to begrudge our sisters that do have these things. Obviously, you know what I'm saying? But I don't get it. Again, militant college. Dark-skinned Black women are like fucking walking advertisements for summertime. I don't see what people are making people see. Most of all of my friends are just gorgeously deep dark brown women with long, again, all of them have long natural hair, and I'm just like, okay, what happened to me? I don't know. I don't. You know, like just flawless skin, beautiful. I don't understand. Maybe it's because my father is darker skinned, and we grew up in families that have like lots of different colors. So I don't know if this is colorism from us Black people and we're like just reflecting it, or if this is Caucasian people making us feel bad. I don't know who. But like for some reason, I feel like now I'm getting, especially with like Instagram and everything, I'm seeing all these pages like dark skinned girls are beautiful. I'm just like, why do we even need to make this page? Like, this is not normalcy. It's been normal for me forever. But
it ain't been for me.
I don't understand that. That's what I don't understand. I mean, I'm sorry that that's the case, but I've never come across it except for like maybe these past several years, and maybe I'm ignorant to it. I'm not fair skinned, you know what I'm saying? I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess. I don't know. But when I wrote Quartet, and my sister, and this is where I came up with the topic. My sister came to me and she was editing because she wants to be an editor now. How do you be an editor and you don't like reading like sexy, smutty romance? I don't get it. I'm like, so are you editing my book with your eyes closed? Sorry, that's just something that anyway. So she says to me, I don't know. Unless I were to read the front of your book that says BWWM romance, which I just learned what that means, like I wouldn't know that any of your heroines were Black.
Really?
And I'm saying to her, yes, this is the point of my book. They are Black. You know that they're Black. But you don't need to know that they're Black and like throw it in people's face that they're Black, because we're freaking women. We're human. I'm a Black woman and I'm sexing down this man. What's the big fucking deal? So like, I was saying to her, like, what am I supposed to say? She's like, well, none of their names sound Black. I was like, we have Shanice, we've got Nina. I'm saying, like, there are Black women. There's a whole singers out there named these that are Black. And I'm just like, but how is one Black in a name? Should I have come up with something that sounded Black, or I'm just coming up with names that sound pretty? Nina is very, very fair skinned, like one of my friends, and her hair was like a willow tree. That's how he expressed it to her. So she's got like these long golden coils. Shanice was darker skin, and she liked to wear her box braids and things like that. But it wasn't something, I think probably 2 or 3 times in the book I really mentioned people's skin color, because I want you to read the book knowing that this is the type of book that I write. I write about Black women, so you know that you're there, but I'm not throwing it in your face to make you feel like we're some sort of an anomaly. You know what I'm saying? That this could happen to us. So let me make sure that you know. I don't know how to express. It just kind of made me feel like very sad for my sister.
Okay.
To have to say that. And then I was triple guessing the book. Should I not put it out because women are not going to see themselves in this? I don't know, but it just made me feel bad, because I do have people come to me sometimes and be like, oh, but you're not really Black. Yeah, I am. What does that mean? Not really Black because I speak this way?
Okay.
Is that what you mean by not really Black? Because
yeah, we get that all the time.
That it's crazy and ridiculous. It's because what media feeds to you, which we know who the media is run by, this is what you believe that all Black women look, sound, feel, act like. And the truth is, that's not true. So I'm sorry that I took over the conversation, but it just really makes me upset how we've molded ourselves into some sort of quasi world where we feel wrong and we make each other feel wrong, and we don't know that we're making each other feel wrong, and because we're writing from our own experiences, and that's completely okay. That's all I'm saying. I'm shutting up now.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention something you said maybe like a couple minutes ago. Which I actually do really envy this about people who are African American, because like they're like typically people who get the love being Black growing up. Mm-hmm. Whereas like, you know, sometimes like when you grow up in like Latinx spaces and you're a Black person, mm-hmm. you kind of really don't have that. There's like no history that they teach us that like assures us and
makes us proud of ourselves.
Yeah,
in the history.
We don't get that either. That's only recent. That is only recent. They did not. I went all the way through elementary school, and the only person that they taught to us who was Black was Nat Turner. And Nat Turner was a bad guy because he started a revolt and he killed a bunch of white people. That's it. So Black Americans, if they have, I mean, it's only been recent, because I sure enough know that I did not see myself growing up at all, and did not feel good, because our parents were determined to put us in white schools so we would have better education.
Okay.
Which is a load of crap. So anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, like in reference to being like a Black woman in Latinx spaces, mm-hmm. Like it's gonna obviously translate different. So I'm just gonna say it in English, because like in Brazil it's gonna be different, because I don't speak Portuguese, so I'll just say it in English. There's this phrase in like Latinx spaces, whether you're from Brazil or like a Spanish speaking country, where it's white woman for marriage, mulata for sex, and Black woman for work. Wow. So, you know, mulata is obviously like the mixed race person, like the Black woman who maybe kind of has features that aren't specifically as monolithically Black as a Black person. So like Black women are not seen as anything. I mean, I know that we're not seen as anything, and there's no space where we're seen as more than white women. Mm-hmm. But that does come out in our writing. Because it is, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not hard for any Black woman.
Mhm.
When you're a dark-skinned Black woman, you get masculinized a lot. I mean, there's never been a job I've ever worked where like people didn't immediately masculinize me, no matter what my demeanor was like to them. No matter how soft-spoken I was to them. I mean, they would think I would want to fight them. They would think I could take ass. I was half their size half of the time. And it didn't matter what space I was in. It was just instantly masculinized.
I am over here shaking my head because I am. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure any Black woman could relate to that. It just happens without a doubt when you're a very dark skinned person. You get compared to men a lot, even when you don't like physically look like a man. So it's just, I hate to use the word humbling because that's what a man would want me to use, but it just feels like they're just trying to like humble you based on skin color. Because you're supposed to be lucky that people are even attracted to you.
Wow, damn. Yeah. Yes. Growing up, high school, never felt feminine like the other girls. Never. Not that I wasn't. I wore mini skirts too, always trying to cover up this big bubble butt that I had that they damn sure let me know I had a bubble butt in elementary school.
We have the same life.
Yeah. And I'm just like, but now you see all these girls out here talk about some get a peach. And I was like, where was y'all back in like 88 when niggas was out here struggling? You know what I'm saying?
Bitches is getting BBLs.
Yeah. Now it's cool because the Kardashian put some stuff up in their mess, and now like I've been living with this since day one and have been ashamed, like wearing jackets and trying to pull shit down so you wouldn't. I literally trying to walk as straight as I could, thinking that would like
that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. You look crazy. You look like a girl who's trying to act like she doesn't have a big butt. That's all that it is. So never feeling feminine in spaces where wanting to feel feminine, always being, and I'm not gonna lie, I mean, I've always been attracted to white men. I just now saying, okay, this is something that has been a thing for me since I was like little. Like the first kid I had a crush on, he was a Boy Scout. But never feeling like, okay, that's something, even though I did have white boyfriends in high school. But just now in everyday life, and now that we're in COVID, and you have literally stolen my smile, I leave the grocery store like damn near in tears because I don't feel feminine sexy. I'm always just like, well, what are they going to want with this little Black girl in a mask? And, I'm coming straight from work and I don't be buying clothes for work. I buy clothes for like life in the club. So like, I'm just wearing like pants that work and a shirt that, covers me up. And I see a guy and I'm like, wow, he's really good looking, but I don't feel like I don't have the hair that I can fling around. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a smile that I can show you now that it's COVID, and I'm Black on top of that. So it's like a triple downer. So I leave the store and I go to my car and I break down in tears and I go home and drink my wine and pass out.
Oh, damn.
I'm sorry.
So there's like something that I wanted to actually bring up during this conversation about how you make your character sound Black or like appear on page, because obviously my sister and I we consider ourselves to be Black Latinas, and like I always feel like we feel this pressure to make our Black Latinas like
fiery,
knowingly Black on page, because we our whole lives we've always gotten, well, you're not really Black, you're Spanish, you're not really Black, because what they mean is I'm not African American. So it's
Such
like
tiny minds. So
yes,
tiny minds. And that's what
absolutely.
Amara La Negra was trying to explain that. And people were like,
yeah, and it
It's
still went above them.
yeah, it still went above them though. Like
It still went above them.
yeah.
You know, so we always feel like and like when we look at like the reviews that we get for certain books, like they always feel like our Black Latinas, they were doing too much with making us know what they were and stuff like that. But with our African characters,
we don't have to do that.
we don't have to. It's almost like they're just seen as automatically Black. And like you know, take in mind like you know the character the book that you read meant for you, Benny was African and her first language is Spanish, the same as ours. You know, and for some reason like her being African and speaking Spanish is not the same thing as being Latin American and speaking Spanish. Like when you're Latin American,
even when you're a Black person,
even when you're a Black person, a dark skinned person. I mean, I'm like me and my sister are like some of the darkest people that most people know. You know what I mean? So it's like, but for some reason, like people look at the our parents' nationality and they can't disassociate that with seeing us as like, you know, Black people, because they're like, to them, Blackness is like Americanness.
So weird. Because like when somebody first told me that Cameron Diaz was Cuban, I was perplexed. I was like, what? That's what
girl.
Like I didn't think Cubans look like that. And then they were like Christina Aguilera.
Television. That's so normal on Spanish language television.
I know, and I started to see that when I was again living in the Bronx with my ex. You know, now I'm watching, you know, TV and stuff like that, and I'm just like, oh, this is why. Because I wasn't watching Spanish television when I heard about Cubans. That was coming from like Cosby Show, or I was watching, because my dad was very big on us watching like documentaries and PBS and everything. I mean, the only Cubans that I knew saw growing up were brown skin. They were Black. I mean, I did not have that experience until college. They were like, oh yeah, Cameron Diaz and Christina Aguilera, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, really? You know, you couldn't explain to me how that was possible, though I had full knowledge of the fact of the whole slave trade, the triangular trade, and knew how Black people got to these places like Cuba and you know, Dominican Republic and stuff like that. That's how they brought us over there. Now, to speak to the whole thing about being Black and being Latina, and then there's this disparity, I can see where probably Americans would be like, if they're the ones reviewing your book, where they would be like, why you gotta be throwing all that in our face? I think it's because, and I'm just saying, because I had experience, I lived in Miami for a while too.
That's what
so racist too.
Girl, so yeah, my whole life has been. It was very much feeling very out of place as an American, Black American living in Miami. I did. And I remember listening to a radio show where they were asking some question, and I remember the woman's answer. She was like, I am Latina first, and then I'm something, and then I'm Black. And I was just like, that's interesting, because when you step outside your door, the first thing that someone's going to see is that you're Black. They're not going to be like, oh, she's Latina. No, they're not going to be like, oh, she's such and such. No, they're going to see you as a Black woman. Yet that's the third thing that you listed, which to me, as a Black American, where, I mean, it's just wrong being Black American anywhere you are. We're like the bastard children. That's how we see ourselves. That says to me, like, being Black is being dirty. You know, like, you get to put being Latina first, and everybody loves Latinas because you see Latinas all the time on TV, and they're fiery and they're sparky and they're the sexy ones.
Can I just like interject on that?
Yes, totally.
That doesn't extend to Black Latinas. Only the white ones get to have that reputation.
I see that. That's totally what I mean. Because when I'm thinking this in my head,
that doesn't spill over to us.
What's her name? The one Modern Family and whatever.
Sofia Vergara.
Yeah. That's what you see when you think Latina. So when she says on the lady on the radio, I'm Latina first, okay, well then that's what you think. But then you have to go, and then I'm something, then I'm from Miami, and then I'm Black. That's what says, well, Black is not good, not great. So I'm thinking if it's like somebody that's reviewing the book, they may be coming from that point of view, like, okay, fine, you're Latina, which probably means that you've got hair and you've got whatever else associates with being Latina. Great. As a Black American, we don't get to have any of that. We raise your children and maybe somebody will marry us or not. There's nothing particularly special about us. We can't even trace our roots anywhere. So I think it's like a type of jealousy.
Okay. I got to refrain myself because I'm letting you speak.
No, I'm saying, but you're coming from two different places. So you definitely tell me how you feel, because I don't know how you feel. This is just how I've been feeling. Like, okay. I can't compare to being Latina.
Okay, so Libby and I might have different opinions, so I'll let Libby go first.
So, like, my argument with that is that, a lot of Black Latin Americans envy African Americans for their visibility, for their self-love of themselves.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's the perception.
That's the perception. It has to be.
Think about growing up. I'm sure. I mean, I'm just talking about my childhood. I had so many Black shows that I watched growing up that were obviously American based. If I'd have grown up in a Latin American country, I'd have never saw a Black person on screen unless they were playing a slave or a maid. But growing up, me and my sister, we loved Moesha. Like, we wanted to be Moesha. We wanted to look like Moesha. It's like, I still kind of want to, but it's like the only reason why I like having dark skin now is because I had that growing up. If I would have relied on Spanish language media, I would probably still be as insecure. Me and my sister were really insecure in our 20s when it came to our Blackness, because we grew up in Latin American spaces where white is elevated and Black is not seen at all. We there's no visibility. Like in Latin Americans, I'll be honest, they would rather hide us and work with African Americans because they have more to gain from African American people. They don't have anything to gain from us. They don't have anything to gain from Black people in their own communities. But with African Americans, they have so much to gain because Black Americans have visibility.
Okay.
They have networks. They have resources that Black Latin Americans do not have.
And probably never will. They probably never will.
Yeah.
I can see that. I really
don't think we fight hard enough for it, if I'm being honest. So
my ex used to say, you never see Black people on telenovelas. It's not, because I always used to tell him, I was like, you could totally be, on one of those soap operas. He's so beautiful, handsome. He's
was he Black?
No, he is. He's Canela, so he's. I would say he's lighter than paper bag brown. So, he would be. I guess he would be not passing, but he would be able. I would say more like, what would you say for Beyonce? Acceptable.
Okay.
Acceptable, not passing. Beyonce's not passing. He's not passing. Passing is a whole different subject, but possibly acceptable to be on the show as probably some sort of a Casanova type of deal, or that kind of thing. But I wouldn't say a main role character if he's thinking about, you never see Black people on TV. And it's true, it was rare that we would see anybody when we were over at his aunt's house and watching anything. I mean, even you know that show. Well, there's a show that I like called Caso Cerrado.
Okay.
And like,
okay.
like
Wow.
Caso Cerrado. Oh,
Oh, you like that drama?
I do. I'm sitting there and I'm like, and he's like, babe, do you even know what they're saying? I'm like, I'm doing pretty good. I'm okay. But like, you saw like one guy, and I was like, he's beautiful. And I remember walking around the Bronx, we would go to different places, and I would see all these beautiful, beautiful men, all different colors of black. His dad was very, very dark and just a gorgeous man speaking Spanish. And I'm like, you do not see this at home where I live, you know, like in my little country ass town. This is not normal. And why is it not normal? Like, I want to see more of this. And that's what the diaspora is and shows us, that we are everywhere. We are gorgeous. We are all skin tones, all hair lengths and tones. And the public doesn't see that. Just call me brand new. Have I thoroughly offended you?
No.
Of course
Okay.
not.
All
Like,
right. I'm sorry.
I feel like this is a conversation I wish I could have with like more Black women of other cultures too. Like, because I feel like, I feel like, you know, there's this otherness sometimes with Black Latin American women, because it's like you think of us as different. Well, not you specifically, but Black American women think of us as different. Like we have more access to something and we don't. We actually probably have less access.
Unless you want to consider fetishization access.
Yeah.
Probably. I think that's where it comes from, because again, it's the whole persona of the Latinx or the Latina woman is that she's sexy. African American women, I mean, I have some years on you, not a whole bunch, but I do. Like, if I did not watch Cosby Show in a Different World, I wouldn't have seen myself either, or Eyes on the Prize, like those documentaries for PBS that my dad was making us watch. But you always have that persona that, you know, Latin women are sexy. And then, of course, we know that there are Black Latin women. So, yeah, you guys are sexy. We're not. We went through this whole American slave trade, which we all went through the slave trade. But for some reason, I think American Blacks just feel like we got it the worst. And that's probably because we live in America and that's what we're spoon fed. I mean, like, I always saw slaves growing up too, like the Diary of Jane Pittman and, you know, Sojourner, all that stuff.
Okay.
That's all we were fed in elementary school about Black people. It is only recently that we have people that we can look at, you know, and I hate to say it, like Michelle Obama and that kind of thing, where these are Black women, American Black women that are being awesome. And we don't get that a lot. My best friend and I, she's actually British by way of the Caribbean. She has trouble feeling like, how would I put this? Like our African counterparts, you know, we just feel like they don't see us.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't talk to us well, because again, we're bastard children. Like, we don't belong. This may be not the case, or anybody out there that's listening, not to be rude or judgmental or disrespectful. This is just from a perspective of where we've grown up, but that's how she feels a lot. And I'm guessing in the UK, probably more prominent, I guess the right word. And maybe here too. So, but you say yes. So this is something that you've also experienced.
What was that movie that we saw? It was about like this kid. He was like British and his brother was from Nigeria.
I forget.
God.
Yeah, that I think I've seen something about that too.
It was like the dude that played Kuka Kente in like the most recent
Roots.
the most recent Roots.
Uh-huh. And
like it was like this.
Something about he and his brother, they got treated differently. I think I know what you're talking about, but go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah. So it was like basically like a lot of like the plot had to do with like the diaspora war of like British Africans and British Caribbeans. Even though that wasn't what it was mainly about, I think like because the main character was Nigerian British,
Right.
like his crush was I think Caribbean. And that was kind of like a backdrop of the movie of like kind of feeling like Caribbeans feel differently and inadequate compared to their Nigerian counterparts. And I'm Caribbean, like Cuba isn't the Caribbean, so like I felt that hard. But I think that as a Black person that has been displaced, most of the Black or the African in me is going to be trace regions. It's not going to be as it's not going to be just one place, like someone that's born in Nigeria that's never left Nigeria, you know what I mean? So like when I'm telling you, when I was broke and worked at a grocery store, I remember like this Ghanaian guy, he asked me whether I was from Ghana, and I was like, nah, why you say that? Because he's like, you look like my women. And I remember crying because I was like, I wish that I knew what he meant. Like, what features did he think that I had that, you know, meant that, like, you know, I looked exactly like someone that would come from Ghana. And then I met a woman from Ghana the next day. When I tell you, this woman was the prettiest person I'd ever seen in my life.
Well,
I was like, wow. Like, so he was complimenting me. That's what's up. Because these women out here is bad. I might start telling people I'm from Ghana.
But you thought that he meant something bad? I would have taken
that. I actually didn't think he meant something bad. I just I wasn't. I have no idea like what's a common feature to have in Ghana. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, some African people can look at each other and say, well, that's a feature from Senegal. That's a feature from Nigeria. That I can't tell that. That's something that I can only tell it if you're actually from.
I used to get a lot Ethiopia a lot, and I'm just like, no, I'm not. And in the city where I went to school, a lot of Ethiopians. So I was just like, I don't know. I don't think I have the features. And I mean, like, gorgeous features, but I just didn't know what they placed. So I can see that. But I was just like, okay, do I get extra cookies?
Right? That's you know, they're letting Black people come over there for free right now to gain some land. I might consider that.
Yes.
But damn, we got off topic.
I mean, yes and no. We were just talking about like, how do you say in your books that your heroine is Black? How do people know that your heroine is Black? You said it was the hair. You said it was from the places that they're from. I don't know if we also ever mentioned skin color.
Okay, well let's talk about that. Most of our heroines are either brown skinned, I guess more like your complexion, or darker than us. Our complexion, like we kind of start at your complexion. Because I feel like I've read enough, like kind of like pale skinned Meghan Markle Black girls in books, and I didn't feel seen.
Girl, can I tell you how that I feel like that with age? Like, if I open a book and the girl's like, I've been doing this my whole life, now I'm 28, I immediately close that bitch. I close that bitch so quick. I'm just like, I am done. I literally, so I have, like, when you sign up to be a newsletter person, I have a little thing that's like, hi, welcome to like Shirrá Lynn romance, whatever. And I was just like, all the bitches is 35 plus. I'm sorry. We're not doing this. I mean, I get it. Yes. 20-year-old women deserve to have smexy dick too. Not a problem. But what I need you to know is that women that are over 35, 40, 50, they deserve that too. Just as sexy. We have stuff to give. You know, we are not all out here with virgin vaginas and stuff like that. We've been through surgeries. We've had children. We've had relationships that did not work, and we've been left. You know what I'm saying? We're not damaged. We're not ugly. We're not hags. I'm just saying, like, you talk about skin color. This is where you start and up. This is where I start with age. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening. Shut up, Shirrá.
No, age is an interesting topic. I'm not prepared for age just yet because typically it's easy for me to write characters when I've been that age. You know?
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'm just now starting to like consider girls that are like 40 years old, even though I'm not 40 yet. Mm-hmm. Because it's easy to write an age when I've already been at.
I guess I could say yes. I just feel like if I were to write a book about a 20-something, it's leaving out a very large population of women that aren't 20-something. I can't see myself in that situation because, yeah, you're 20-something. You're going to have boobs, but collagen, you know, you could be ugly as heck, but you're 20. It just all fits. And that's what happens. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get, and then you're 25-year-old woman and it's some 48-year-old man. And you're like, seriously though? Like, come on. You're just saying that women of this age like don't exist. And I'm not telling everybody to go out and start writing about 40-year-old women in their books, but I'm just saying I just get a little tired because it just seems the majority of romance that I read, all the heroines are somewhere within that 20-year-old region, talking about things like they've been doing this their whole life. I'm now the CEO of something and something, and I'm doing this, and I've got my 60-year-old man who's can't wait to get me in bed. Of course. You write women that are certain colors. Yes.
Yeah. Like we try to start at least like kind of caramel, I guess. Like I feel like that might be the lightest I'll write. Mm-hmm. Because I don't even know what it's like to be caramel skin. So it's like that's like me just like looking from like outside in, like, mm-hmm. You know what but it's like, you know, my sister and I have like a penchant for like darker skin heroines because that's like our experience. Like I know how, like, you know, to show the microaggressions that darker skinned women kind of experience from both men and women.
I know how to range. Well, I'm saying this. This is Guinevere, by the way. I feel like I know how to range like complimentary ways to describe dark skin, except I mean, it's outside of just saying black as night, because I feel like that's so demeaning, and I feel like because I read so many books, I feel like that's like kind of like the go-to term to describe a woman with dark skin.
That's interesting. I've not read that.
But it feels like literally every other lighter skin color gets all these flattering ways that people describe them, and it's like there is almost like no way around just describing a girl as black as night. It feels like people are super lazy. They don't really go out their way to find different ways to describe dark skin without comparing it to food, because I know that's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard, and I do. I mean,
I do too. But you know, I try. I feel like I try. I know my sister tries.
Well, so many colors are named after food. It's ridiculous. I mean, I've said chocolate. I've said instead of using chocolate, I've gone to carob. I think that's a much more romantic way of saying it.
What was that? Carob?
Carob.
I'm about to steal that.
I've used saison. Saison is a beer. It's a very fair, like a blondish beer. That was the color of Nina in Quartet in the second book with Nina and Wade. So I mean, like, I know there are people out there who are like, I don't know why you gotta be like comparing us to food. Well, bitch, I mean, that's where all the colors are. I mean, there's no other. I'm not gonna say black is coal. What you can never do is that. You can fuck that all day long. Never, you know. So I don't know, and this is coming from our black counterparts, what you want us to do when we're trying to describe the varying shades of our beautiful, fantastic community of black women. But the thing is, and I think the caveat is, our Caucasian counterparts don't have to do that. A white woman is white. We're not talking about, oh, she vanilla or she's...
I don't know. I read a lot of white romance and they be describing their milky...
That's exactly what you get. It's milky skin. And I was reading white romance to start with because I didn't know that interracial romance existed. Or, I mean, I knew that African American romance existed, but most of them that I see are not books that I would particularly delve myself into. But yeah, no, you only get milky with them. And of course, milky is acceptable and everyone wants soft, milky skin. You don't get that with black women. You just don't.
You sure don't.
I mean, unless she has soft, chocolate, milky skin. Because it's sweet, tastes like sugar. What's up? Yes, definitely. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry for all of us.
I know, right? Like we're having this conversation. I'm seeing how much we all struggle.
We do all struggle. And it's we struggle. We seeing from this conversation that we're both seeing each other and thinking each other are better. And we're actually finding out that we're pretty much on the same playing field. You know what I'm saying? And that's it's very interesting.
It feels like we're just being pit to compete with each other.
I think the media does it that way. Definitely.
There's also like an interesting thing that I noticed, like, and this is something that I just noticed my entire life growing up in the States. You know what I mean? Like, my sister and I are from Miami. She's lived in Boston. I've lived in Georgia. We both live in Connecticut now. You know, the thing about being a Black Latina is that literally the only people you can date are white people in our community, because Black people don't date each other.
What?
Yeah, Black people don't date each other. Like obviously both our parents are Black, but that was they were in, you know, back home where they had no other chances to get with a white woman or a white person. But here it's like, you know, we're told all the time, date white, don't be with no Black guy,
because you want your babies to come out.
Yes, you know,
yeah.
Like
this is not a new thing. This is an American thing too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like Black people do not date each other in Latin culture. Like Black men, like that's why I'm surprised. Like the guy that she was dating, Dominican, even.
I know. Wow, that was a miracle.
That he was brown skinned, because like they like the rubias. You know, they do not want no.
Oh, I dated a very militant Black. It would not. He had a girlfriend who was half Italian, but like he would not with the, I'm sorry. His whole thing was like, not with a 10-foot pole, not gonna do it. He just felt like he'd been so marginalized so hard, and his father being very dark skinned, you know what I'm saying? And his brothers being darker than him. He's like the lightest in his entire family. Don't know how that happened. Oh, no, he had a sister who was blonde, but that was like his half sister. But yeah.
Yeah, like in Latin culture, Black people don't date each other. Like there's kind of like no such thing as Black love. There's no term for it, because I'll speak specifically to being Cuban. I don't want to like put every Latin person under the same umbrella, but in Cuban culture, child, you better be with a white man if you Black, because it's like that's just how it is. Like, you know, so it's like when I meet like, you know, when I'm friends with African American women and they're like, gosh, how do you be getting all these white boys? I'm like, I've been cultured to just only date white.
But doesn't that make you feel like a trend? I don't know how to explain it. If this is how you've been raised to do, then haven't the white Cuban men been raised to do that too? So how do you know what's love, and how do you know this is what we do?
We don't. A lot of white Cuban men fetishize black women. Like they want to be like, you know, when they're older and they're done dealing with the old white aged looking women, that's when they want to neg it out all of a sudden. They want someone who looks young and pretty, and you know, black women, we tend to look young no matter how old we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So like just interracial dating is just heavily encouraged with black people. I would say that it's not really encouraged with white people in Latin America. But white men in Latin America do know that black women would rather have a white partner over a black partner. So even if they are the worst of the lowest, ugliest, hot bellied of the bunch, they know they can get a black woman.
Yeah. I do remember my mom telling me that my grandmother had pulled her aside and was just like, your babies are gonna be dark. And she was like, okay.
What are you supposed to say to that?
What do you say to that? Like, I'm literally 2 minutes from getting married and this is what you're telling me now. But even still, you know, and we mostly came out my mother's color. The women on my mom's side are some of them are very fair skin and some are like brown skin. We do like brown skin from where I am, and then like up to that's my auntie type stuff, like the white lady. Yeah, that's how it is on her side. But I can see that. I can see that coming from Caribbean nations. I do believe that Black Americans have a sort of that, which I just described to you, where it's just like, okay, well, if you can get a white man type of thing, because that's not what we were doing over here as, you know, maids and, you know, house workers and field slaves or whatever like that, but get you as fair a black man as you can, you know, that kind of thing. Or yeah. And it's all to make sure that your babies come out. My character in Love and War, Victoire, her father was Haitian, dark-skinned Haitian, and her mom, I say that her mother is quadroon. That was the goal, was for your babies to be quadroon, because you want to breed the black out, which is a self-hatred. And it's not a self-hatred that we gave ourselves. This is something that we were given to hate, and we manipulated it because we had no choice. And this is where we are now. Hopefully not still today, but apparently so.
Yeah, unfortunately, like in our most recent release, like the female character that we wrote, like I felt like she was kind of like more like my experience over Guinevere's, because like, you know, there was like a situation where her hero, they met when they were teenagers, and her hero asked her was she Spanish, and she got really upset by that because she felt like, you know, she only gets asked that because she's black. And I don't even really like the term Spanish, because I feel like that's kind of like something like people on the East Coast use to mean like,
yeah. And it's not. Spanish people are Europeans. They're from Spain.
They're not claiming nobody Latin.
Nope.
They basically colonized all of these
places. Please don't get me started on this.
And then they want to act like they don't have nothing to do with us, so we're not claiming them no more.
So we are out retail shopping, not shopping. He worked in retail, I worked in retail or whatever. And he was telling me the story how some Argentinians came in
Yikes.
and were speaking to him. And I was like, I bet you felt like a slave, didn't you? He's like, I did.
Now,
I did.
So the interesting thing about Argentinians, I always get along with them because I was named after an Argentinian actress, Libertad Lamarque. That is like their that is their Rita Hayworth.
They're Rita Hayworth. They're Sophia Loren if they're Italian.
Yeah, like, so they know Libertad Lamarque, like, and they always never fail to tell me that whenever I meet someone Argentinian. And they'll always ask me, why do you have that name? While I'm speaking in Spanish to them.
Right? Like,
while I'm speaking in Spanish to them, I'm like, duh, idiot, because I'm fucking Latin. My sister has a beautiful Welsh name, you know what I mean, that white people love. If they loved it so much, they would stop calling me Geneva.
Does my name look like Geneva to you? No.
But
Welsh name. There's a place in Wales called Clackley. So yes, I'm Welsh. Anyway, yes. I don't know. Go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, like, but like, I feel like experiences like that, like, sometimes I try to use experiences like that to remind the audience that, like, what the heroine is going through is something that only Black women go through, even if they're of, like, Latin descent. Like, no one really sees that you're Dominican first, because that's what that character is. She's Dominican.
Thank you.
No one sees that she's Dominican first. They just see that she's Black first. You know what I mean? Like, they're not looking at her name if they don't automatically just know her name. They just see a Black girl, a brown skinned girl with nappy hair, you know what I mean? And that's phenotypically Black. So sometimes I try to give our characters experiences like that, because right now we have more Black Latinas than really anything else, but we plan to expand, because I just love Black women throughout the entire diaspora. I love African women. I love Caribbean women. I love South American Black women. I love African American women. I just love Black women, and I feel like Black women deserve love.
I think we deserve love, and you're telling me something that maybe I should explore in my books, because I'm just like I tell everybody, like, I don't write, like, if you read a heroine, it's me, like, because I don't know what else to write. I can't write from anybody else's point of view. Like, every woman that you read, she's some version of something going on in my head, something that's happened that I've just written into my story, and I'm like, oh wow. So now that you're talking about these experiences, I'm thinking, well, maybe I haven't had such an awful experience. I mean, or maybe I should be writing these experiences into my books. I am writing from the standpoint of, yeah, I'm Black, and like, we telling a story here. So
yeah,
like, let's move on. So maybe that's what my sister meant when she's like, I can't tell that your heroine's Black. And I was just like, well, does every Black woman in a book have to have a fucking struggle? Can she just not be Black? Here
was a TikTok I saw that actually relates to what you're saying, where this guy said, remember when we used to watch shows like about Black people instead of them being Black? Like the shows were just like about Black people. They didn't say that they were Black. It was just whatever. But now you have shows like Blackish, and it's like, it's about the whole experience. Like, we have to, it's to educate white people about being Black. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think maybe that's what your sister is talking about. Like,
it could be that. It could be that. I don't know. I took offense to it, because I was just like, okay, well, what should I write? Somebody please tell me.
Again, I think that you definitely are in this in this unique situation where being African American, you've never had to prove that you were like Black. People just automatically just give you the honor of Blackness. And that's something I actually envy. I wish that people just saw me that way, without me having to explain that. Okay, yeah, my parents are from Cuba, but it's like you don't see what the hell they look like. They're black as hell, like you know, like it. But the people just get they let the nationality confuse them into other me.
I can see that.
Yeah, you know, when like I'm literally telling you, we have like identical experiences. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like, so because I'm black, I can't be this too, or a nationality, race and nationality are two separate things, and I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm seeing your point of view from how you create your female characters, where you feel like you don't have to, like, you know, prove anything, because you know you're like, well, they're me. Like, I've never had to prove it.
I dig you.
Yeah, like,
so in a way, and forgive me if I'm wrong, and excuse me if I offend, it's kind of like writing from a point of, I guess, a perceived privilege. Would you say that?
I would. I didn't want to use that word. I was afraid of
it's okay. We've already established that we all thinking the same thing. It's good.
Yeah, like I was like, let me use another. Let me paraphrase it, so I'm not saying privilege, because everybody gets like triggered when they hear the word privilege. But
I'm too old to be triggered, girl. I'd be remiss to say that I would feel like I am taking away or feigning something if I were to write a heroine where it wasn't an experience in some way, shape, or form that I had. I mean, no, I did not go through World War II. This is obvious.
Yeah.
But she was a world traveler, and, you know, she had lovers. There was nothing about Victoire that I go back and I think about right now that would say that she had had any sort of struggle with being Black in her lifetime that wasn't more than like a possible microaggression, you know? And then the 4 characters in Quartet, none of those women that I can think of, except maybe Shanice in the beginning, her problem was that he was white and she didn't want her friends making fun of her. You know, it was the 90s, like, oh, you going out with that white boy, that kind of thing. And she was just like, yeah, this can't happen. So that's still not her being marginalized as a Black woman for any reason, whether she just be Black or Black and a different nationality. So I guess we definitely write what we know.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, most of our books have been what we know. I think that particularly with Met for You, we're obviously not Ecuadorian, so it's like that's like a little bit more research, because the way in which parents talk to their children is very different. Like West or Central Africa, and obviously like their food is a little different. I honestly think Caribbean food is the most similar to West African and Central African food, but they prepare it so different. So it did take some research, and it's still taking us research to kind of figure people out who aren't Cuban, because we're Cuban. When we do a Dominican character, that's obviously a different culture, different Spanish, you know, different mannerisms, different like regimes that their governments were at one point,
different customs,
different customs, even different quinces. Like even the way they do quinces are different. So it's like, you know, we take a risk every time we do a different culture.
But I think the fact that you're doing a culture from a Black standpoint, I don't think people would be angry, because somebody is at least writing about it and not negatively. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's my thinking.
I hope so. I hope that's what we're doing. I hope that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I had to research Equatorial Guinea. I did, and I was like, wow. I had no idea. It's like a whole different country, and like the only like plopped in the middle. It's the only place that speaks Spanish on the continent.
Have you ever seen Palm Trees and Snow? And what's that movie called?
Palm Trees in the Snow.
Have you ever seen that movie?
It sounds familiar.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah,
but it's like that movie's set in Equatorial Guinea.
It's when they first colonized it because it wasn't.
Yes, and it was okay. I think I saw it, and there was something where I had to turn it off because I'm like, oh no, this is the bullshit right here.
Listen, but it was interracial though. It was black woman, white male.
I don't know if it was somebody had been raped or something like that, and I was like, I don't know if that was the movie. Maybe it's not the right movie, but. Different movie.
It was just like kind of like talking about how like a Spanish man fell in love with an Ecuadorian woman when they were being colonized for the first time.
Okay, that's the movie, and I'm thinking that's probably why I'm thinking of what I was thinking of, but I know that's the movie. And I was just like, oh, this is colonization. This is not love. So,
well, you know.
Like, yeah.
Well, that movie's about Equatorial Guinea. A lot of people don't know Equatorial Guinea because a lot of people, it's such a new country. It's like, I think probably less than 60 years old. Mm-hmm. So, and they're literally the only place that speaks Spanish as a first language. So like, most people probably have never heard of it. From New York, from the Midwest, from the West, from the South, from the Southwest. There's like no way to be African American. So it's just like whatever culture you choose, like every state is like literally its own culture, you know? So there's so much to pull from. We're from corny Connecticut, so there ain't shit to pull from here. But
interesting. That's such an interesting perspective.
You know,
it really is.
Yeah. So taking my being Black Latinos, African American is like the epicenter of Blackness that everybody emulates. So it's just like, you can't say it's boring when we all want to be it. So when we all want to be it, we're emulating you guys. You know, like we are assimilating to that type of the Black culture. So we just haven't made a whole lot of African American women yet. The ones we got planned, they're dope.
Okay.
So it's coming.
I'm just seeing it from like there's this, like we said, the diaspora out there. You've got so many different Black women from so many different countries and continents. You've got Aboriginal women, you've got women from the UK, and it's just like you see this lineup of all these women, and then you come and it's like, oh, it's America, and we all pretty much have the same background and do the same things, say the same things, fried chicken. You know, it's kind of just like, I wish I were Black, British, Nigerian, and I had a father who was a king, and I'm a princess, and I can afford a flat that's like $50,000 a month. You know, we go to work and we come home, and that's what we do. And because that's what America is about. We're a capitalist country. We do not take breaks. We don't take vacations. This is, you know, so again, we're coming from two different perspectives and points of view. And yeah.
I'll be honest. I feel like Black American women are so versatile. Like, it's like one from California is so different than one from Louisiana, and the one from Louisiana is so different from a Black woman from Idaho. And
girl, ain't no Black people in Idaho.
Like one person from Idaho.
I'd be like, I'm from Idaho. Disconnect ya. Follow her no more. Yeah.
All I'm saying is that Black American women, there's so many different cultures within the American culture. You know what I mean? I don't feel like girls from New York, black girls from New York really act anything like girls from Mississippi. Like they have their own language. They have their own like they have their own language.
We don't even count the 10 the same.
Yeah.
We don't even count the 10 the same. We say 10 from where I am because I'm further south, and New Yorkers say 10, and I'm like 10, a 10 and a pen. It's like, okay, it's 10 and a pen. Yeah. I need like 10 pens. Yeah.
Even here where we live, we don't really say tea like that when we're like it's in a sentence. Like we can skip the tea. Like
like I feel like you notice that more when you try to transcribe or like have your voice recorded, and like you notice that like it doesn't pick up things because you're not saying it the way like it's expecting you to say it. So like when you say something like Parton, you know, it'll say like car un. It doesn't car
on.
Yeah, car on. Yeah, because we don't say T's. Yeah, we don't say T's up in here. Like
I do have to speak to Siri very slowly. So she gets it. So I can understand that. Car on. All right, ladies. So we can continue this conversation after, but we are going to close the show, and I've got a lot of editing to do.
Like, I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry at all. Okay, so tell everybody where we can find you.
So the first place you can find us is our official website at www.gltomaswrites.com. My sister and I are both on Instagram. Her handle is at dos_twinjas. That is TWINGAS.
Okay, because I've been saying dos twinjas the whole time, but it's twinjas.
And I think we were like trying to like make it like ninjas, but like obviously twinjas, whatever.
Okay, so I'm so wrong and sorry.
And my handle is at Rebellious Cupid on IG. And gosh, where else are we?
I mean, I feel like those are the main places.
Yeah, like I mean, if you go on our like official website, you can pretty much find anywhere else we are. So it's like, you know, we just started TikTok. We will be updating you on that.
Oh, y'all on the TikTok now?
Okay, well, let's try to be.
Because we hear people making money off of TikTok.
Okay.
Let me dip my toe in TikTok for a sec.
But I'm over here thinking like I'm gonna be on what's that other thing? It's not TikTok. It's for the grown folks.
What are you talking about?
What's the place? What the place is where all the people go and you can pay money to see their feet and booties.
OnlyFans.
Y'all go TikTok. I'm gonna go OnlyFans. See all this booty I'm still carrying. You make me some money. I'm not gonna go to OnlyFans. Wink, wink. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for Author Chat. Thank you, Guinevere. I'm gonna say Guinevere. Y libertad. I'm not gonna say it again. Libertad. Thank you for joining us this evening, this morning. Oh, thank you. Oh, snap. Okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, so audience, you're out there. You know what happens. If I post it, it's because I knew what I was doing. If I didn't post it, it's because I didn't, and it's okay because you wouldn't have known about it anyway. Check me out for the next Author Chat. I don't know when it's going to be, but it's going to be when it is. And talk at you all later.